Hey, what's up everybody, Thunderbob here, and tonight we're going to be talking about Super Mario Odyssey. I know this game's pretty old, but I just recently got a Switch 2 like many of you, and I found myself going back through my old Switch backlog while waiting for some new releases, and I decided to play Mario Odyssey. This is one that I played a bit of many years ago, but in reality my wife played it. It was her Switch, and she would just hand it to me whenever she got stuck, so I saw maybe like 10% of the game. So today I am playing through the entire game myself on the Switch 2, and I am really impressed, both with how much better this looks and plays on the Switch 2, but also just with how incredibly fun this game is to play. I love the Mario series, but it's one of those series that the moment I kind of put the controller down and I'm not thinking about it, I don't remember Mario. And then the next time a big one comes out and I play through it, I remember Mario is one of the best goddamn games ever. From Super Mario World to Mario 64 to Mario Galaxy to Odyssey, these are some of the best games ever made. And I think, 8 years later on Odyssey or 35 years later on Super Mario World, these games still hold up today and are totally worth playing. So to start with, let's talk about the improvements that come with the Switch 2. So this is one of those games that got a free patch with the Switch 2. And the game has seen a lot of improvements, much improved resolution. Now it's running at 1080p in handheld or 4K when docked with a locked 60 FPS. Previously it was a 720 interlaced image, though the game was pretty smooth. It targeted 60 before, but it sometimes had some drops. But now it's really rock solid, 1080p or 4K, and just runs really smooth. Other things like the draw distance have been improved dramatically. Now you can see much further, and in the distance before, characters would like drop frames. They look like super low FPS and just looked really bad, and now that's all gone. They've improved some of the textures in the game, just overall much better looking now. I mean, it was a good looking Switch game, but here it really feels like a native Switch 2 title, and if you have the original game, you don't even need to pay anything for these improvements. This is one of those limited cases where they gave you that upgrade for free. So if you already had Mario Odyssey and you bought a Switch 2 and you're like, well, I need to find something new to play, you should look back at your backlog. Look at those games that have seen improvements, both through patches or just through the better running system. And this is definitely one of the best examples. I also did a full video on Pokemon Scarlet and can also recommend that game, as it is much improved over the original Switch experience. Now let's talk about why this game is awesome. At first glance, you might say this game plays just like the classic Mario formula. It has kind of all the classic Mario mechanics that were introduced in Mario 64 and expanded upon in Galaxy, but there's a few new twists here. The major one is everybody gets a hat now. You get Cappy, who is this anthropomorphic hat who helps you platform around the level and also take control of the various animals and objects in the game world. You want to become a Mario Goomba, or a Mario T-Rex, or a Mario Tank, or Mario Bowser? There's over 50 transformations in the game that vastly alter how you play, and introduce just a ton of new platforming and puzzle opportunities. And they go really far out with some of this stuff. You become the most bizarre inanimate objects, you become like beams of lightning, and rocks, and animals, and tanks, and they're just very inventive, very forward-thinking puzzle mechanics here. Just leaves a smile on my face every time. And while this is mostly a 3D game, there's also these kind of classic throwback sections where you play as like a 2D Mario, like it's in the 3D level, it's actually like a physical representation, like on a wall or behind a waterfall or something. And it combines the classic gameplay into the modern Mario level in really clever and inventive ways. I just wish there were a few more of these sections and that they lasted a bit longer, but I guess we're lucky that we have Mario Wonder to fall back on, a full new 2D Mario game, but it would have been nice to expand on these just a little bit. And beyond that, it's mostly just the classic Mario setup. There are just a ton of collectibles to find, but it's really the inventive levels and the setup that sells it for me. In the game, Mario is on an Odyssey, and tell me if you've heard this one before. He's on an Odyssey to save Princess Peach from Bowser. Yes, it's very cliche, but it gets the job done, and it's a ton of fun chasing him across the 15 or so locations that you get to explore. You travel from zone to zone on an airship that requires a certain number of moons to proceed, and there are way more moons in each world than you need, so it's really not difficult to collect the minimum, but it gives you a ton of replay value to go back and try to unlock everything. You also get the ability to unlock a ton of fun costumes, from fancy tuxedos to an astronaut outfit and everything in between. And each of the 15 different worlds each have unique costumes that will allow you to unlock some extra moons in them. The 15 worlds are some of the most diverse the series has ever introduced, with the obvious things like an ice world and a fire world, but it also includes some really new twists, like a modern city, or a world full of food. Running around New Donk City with cars and real-sized people is both bizarre but also amazing, and it's by far my favorite level. It ends with just this spectacular celebration that left me just with the biggest, happiest smile on my face. And every level introduces new transformations and puzzles and seemingly unending number of moons to collect. They're mostly easy to find and not very hidden, but the fun is usually figuring out how to reach them or unlock them, and it's just a joy to run around these stages, stumbling into these crazy fun scenarios, and the game keeps throwing more and more at you. I think it's like the sheer diversity, there's so many different transformations, there's so many different types of puzzle. Some of them are very well hidden, some of them are obvious, some of them require some puzzle solving, some of them, it's a matter of just transforming into a specific beast and going to a certain spot. Sometimes you need to get enough Goombas stacked on top of each other to impress the female Goomba. There's just a huge variety and number of fun little activities, and most of these are very short. They're like under 60 seconds to get the moon, but there's like 500 of them. And I gotta say, even when reaching the end and saving the princess, I had less than half of that total number of moons. And then when you beat it, there's a newly unlocked level that feels just like an updated Mario 64 Peach's Castle. And then 2 more secret areas after that left to discover and explore. So the game really is just stuffed to the rafters with stuff to do and collect even after you finish, which took me about 10 hours or so to see the credits, and I've still got many hours left of collecting if I want to keep going. So, final thoughts. I absolutely loved replaying this game, and the fact that it looks better and performs more consistently is just icing on the cake. The gameplay is perfect, and the game just constantly throws new and fun ideas all the way to the credits and beyond. If you have a Switch 2, it is totally worth replaying this, and you don't even need to shell out any additional money to get these improvements. I've been working my way through most of the games that have been patched on the Switch 2, and I really hope that Nintendo goes back and releases more, as there are quite a lot of fun games that could really use just a few improvements, either graphical or a more consistent frame rate. Things like, the Zelda, Mushu games, the Xenoblade games. Like, there's a bunch of games that performance or the resolution, there's some kind of compromise that was made to make it run on the Switch, and with just a little bit of care given to it, even if it's a $10 patch in some cases, I'd be okay with that if they add in a little bit of extra content. That would totally be worth it in my mind to play some of these games at 4K 60 FPS. So I'm gonna end it there. Just if you have not played Mario Odyssey, you should play it. It's a great game. If you like this video, feel free to check out some of my other stuff. I've covered some more Switch 2 content recently. And thank you again. If you like this, like, subscribe, drop me a comment with any thoughts, and have a good night, everybody.